In simplest terms, inmate Christophe Wolf is the most valuable asset in the history of the Agency of Helping Hands. Christophe was originally commissioned as the first T-class agent shortly after the agency's inception in 1835. Without him, the agency's ability to fulfill directives would be critically compromised. Christophe is, of course, aware of his value to the agency. He even frequently complains that, "I'm the only one who does any fucking work around here." While this statement is untrue, there is no doubt that he is integral to the continued operation of the agency. For this reason, Christophe enjoys unprecedented privileges. Despite his long relationship with the organization, Christophe's personal history prior to his agency involvement is unknown. Christophe has been markedly unhelpful in this regard. For example, he deliberately lies about his past on a frequent basis, further complicating a full understanding of his psychological profile. This is unfortunate because from a clinical standpoint, Christophe is a highly complicated individual. Christophe's initial diagnosis was of sadistic psychopathy. However, due to multiple factors, including active participation in treatment plans, extensive cooperation with agency directives, the unprompted and remarkably successful undertaking of relationship building with staff and other inmates, as well as an informed re-evaluation and re-examination of the psychological impact of the first century of his incarceration at the Agency of Helping Hands, Christophe's diagnoses have since been revised. These diagnoses now include behavior addiction disorder, substance abuse disorder, complex post-traumatic stress disorder, histrionic personality disorder, borderline personality disorder, rejection-sensitive dysphoria, and schizotypal personality disorder. Although Christophe continues to display sadistic behaviors, he has developed the ability to control them and now expresses them under sanctioned circumstances only. Due to his significant personal development and exceptional professional value, the agency facilitates periodic expression of these behaviors as a reward for Christophe's substantial ongoing contributions to the agency. It should be noted that Christophe has repeatedly requested that the agency retract permission for expression of his sadistic behaviors. The agency has attempted to accommodate this request on prior occasions. However, suppression of the behaviors uniformly results in undesirable outcomes. Christophe's most recent requests to disallow expression of the behaviors have therefore been denied. Please note that the majority of Christophe's employee file, including the details surrounding his rewards, are classified at this time. Christophe has made great improvements in terms of personal accountability and responsibility, but still struggles with using language that puts distance between himself and his past actions. This tendency actively impedes his treatment. Christophe has been observed to display aggressive, intimidating, and sexualized behaviors toward individuals who cause him to feel threatened, insecure, or inadequate. Some of his behavior towards female staff has been particularly disruptive. Steps have been taken to reduce these behaviors, but they remain a challenge for Christophe. Another challenge faced by Christophe is his propensity for self-harm. He has been observed to hit himself, cut himself, stab himself, and starve himself. His most disturbing self-harming behavior is his habit of extracting his own teeth, an action he takes after every sanctioned expression of sadistic behavior. It is important to note that Christophe's teeth always grow back following extraction. Christophe's teeth are linked to his notable longevity. He ages physically only when there are no teeth in his mouth. As a result, Christophe has only aged approximately 3 to 4 years throughout his long tenure with the Agency of Helping Hands. Christophe also suffers mild intermittent temporal lobe dementia that manifests anywhere between 8 hours and 3 days following teeth extraction. The symptoms no longer manifest once his teeth begin to regrow. Agency personnel believe Christophe has suffered significant trauma relating to religion and wish to know more so as to more effectively treat him and support him. Christophe is exceptionally cooperative with the agency, even going so far as to train and mentor other staff members. The primary driver of this tractability, and therefore the foundation of his extreme value to the agency of Helping Hands, is a desire for approval and admiration so profound that it borders on pathological. This clinically significant aspect of his nature is exploitable, and in fact, successful exploitation by agency personnel has resulted in his long and mutually beneficial relationship with the organization. Christophe responds especially well to verbal praise, and has been observed to exhibit camaraderie, protectiveness, and even instances of tenderness to individuals who consistently provide him with positive reinforcement. He particularly craves approval from individuals who exhibit traits and behaviors that he perceives as strong. To ensure maximal cooperation, Christophe is assigned as a T-class partner to Commander Raphael Wingaryde, the agency's highest-ranking field agent. It must be noted that Christophe is not an appropriate partner for any female agent under any circumstances. Christophe presents as a Caucasian male, approximately 35 to 40 years old. He has brown hair and hazel eyes. He stands approximately 6 feet 6 inches tall, with a powerful build. Aside from his stature, his appearance is unremarkable. He demonstrates extreme care in hygiene, dressing, grooming, and styling. Christophe has consistently raised objections to the T-class field uniform, requesting to exercise sole discretion over whether to wear it outside the facility. In an unusual move relative to their typical handling of Christophe, administration has repeatedly denied this request. Please note that Christophe is not subject to standard disciplinary protocol. All complaints, objections, and concerns pertaining to Christophe and his conduct automatically bypass the standard chain of command and go directly to agency administration. Despite experiencing multiple significant challenges, Christophe continues to demonstrate substantial ongoing personal, emotional, and psychological growth, as well as consistent success in the accomplishment of directives assigned to him. The agency is deeply grateful to Christophe for his work. Without him, operations at the Agency of Helping Hands would collapse. Christophe is objectively the best asset in the organization's possession. It is therefore vital that the agency actively cultivates Christophe's health, well-being, and above all his cooperation by any and all means necessary. This is Agent Rachele Bean. I am a T-class agent assigned to the North American Specialized Containment Unit, and today I'm conducting an investigative interview with my colleague, T-class agent Christophe Wolf.
I don't want to talk to you.
Christophe's booking information is as follows. Inmate moniker, the Big Bad Wolf. Classification string, cooperative, destructible, chthonic, protean, critical, Denos.
Everyone knows this already.
Please note that Christophe's classification string is currently pending correction and clarification.
Since this is my interview, and you're going to be asking me all the questions, let me have one. Why are you wasting my time?
The interviewer is myself, T-class agent Rachele Bean, and...
You already said that.
All right, Christophe, I know you don't want to be here. So let's just get this over with. We're here to talk, so let's talk. Tell me what's going through your mind.
I have forgotten more than I will ever remember. I am glad for this. But you do not care what I have forgotten any more than I do. You only care about what I remember. So, Fine. I will tell you everything I remember. I remember there was famine when I was young. My mother went elsewhere with her new husband and their new baby because she was pregnant again, and we already had no food. They left me behind. Her husband said I had to stay, and that the time had come for me to feed myself because I was nearly a man. What man, he asked me, would take food from a woman's mouth? I did not want to take food from a woman's mouth. Not any woman, and especially not my pregnant mother or my baby sister. But that did not mean I was a man. I've heard people say that the times were different back then, that everyone was grown and married and making babies and taking care of themselves by the age of 13 or some shit such as that. Those people are wrong. I was 13 years old when my mother left me behind, and I was very much a child. I remember I couldn't feed myself. I remember how my fingers swelled and turned purple after I dug in the frozen mud for roots. I remember killing a crippled rabbit and weeping at the sight of its skinny body bleeding on the snow. I remember burying it instead of eating it. I remember going to an abbey for help. I remember it was not good in the abbey with the priest, but it was better than frostbite and crippled rabbits, even skinnier than I. I remember praying for my mother to come back for me, even though I knew she never would. Her husband said I was a man who must fend for himself, and she obeyed. She obeyed her husband in all things, like a good Christian woman. I remember growing up, but most of all, I remember that I liked to use my teeth. I do not remember how it began. I'm glad. I don't want to remember. I do remember finding girls and women no one cared about in places no one ever looked. I was small because I had had so little to eat for too long. But I was pretty. I got that from my mother. I was also strong, but I did not get that from her. When you are pretty, people do things to you. When you are pretty and strong, people let you do things to them. I wish I had not been pretty. I am glad I am not pretty anymore. I remember that I used my teeth many times. Soon, people began to tell of a monstrous wolf with a taste for virgin's blood. That was funny to me, because none of those women were virgins. But for some reason, a wolf who eats virgins is much more scary than one who eats non-virgins. The nuns knew what I did, and they hated me for it. They would not touch me except to beat me whenever one caught me with a priest. But the priest protected me as long as he could. Not because he cared for me, but because of guilt. He liked that I was pretty. He blamed himself for what I became. I remember knowing He deserved to blame himself. Priests had power then that priests today do not. He used that power to shield me, to make the nuns and the brothers lie about my activities and whereabouts. It was easier than it should have been, because I chose women who were lesser. Whores, servants, mad women, orphans, even witches. The priest especially approved of my witch hunting. Witches were a very grave matter in those days. He did not like my methods, but he was a man of God. And men of God do not suffer witches to live. I was good at finding women the world did not care about. My mistake was finding one the world did care about. She told me she was a servant visiting the city with her mistress. This mistress was kind and had given her ladies an evening all for themselves. She told me we had the whole night. She told me I was far too pretty for a boy. Then she told me I was far too strong for a boy. Then she told me I was hurting her. Then she told me nothing, because all she could do was scream. Far too late, only after I used my teeth, did I learn that this girl was no servant. She was the daughter of a rich man and the young wife of an even richer man. She was oh so expensive. Men do not like when you ruin their expensive things. They dislike it so much that, in the end, they like punishing the ruiner more than they ever even liked their ruined things. And that's why I was found. I remember the day the priest could not protect me anymore. When the lordsmen came cresting the green hills on their horses, I remember how he shoved me out the door and screamed, "Run, boy, run." And so I ran. I ran for days. But no matter how far or long I ran, they kept coming after me, like foxes after a rabbit. I was nearly caught on the fourth day, but the man was small and weak, so he was easy to kill. But I could not kill him before he screamed, which drew this search party to me. I was exhausted, starving, terrified, less than any animal. So I did what animals do. I ran into the forest. Only I wasn't an animal. Animals feed themselves, something I still could not do. I still could not find roots or kill rabbits. I did find water, but it made me sick. My fever ran so hot I burned my own hands when I touched my face, which was strange because I was so terribly cold. The colors in the world were too bright. Nothing held its shape. The trees stretched, rocks melted, and a deer spoke to me in the voice of my stepfather, and he told me to hang myself. I thought people were behind me. The lordsmen, the nuns who beat me, the priest. They all had faces like angels. When I saw the house, I didn't think it was real. This is funny because of all the things I was seeing, the nuns, the priest, the melting rocks, and the different trees and the deer that wanted me to die. The house was the only real thing. It wasn't full dark, but stars shone in the sky. Smoke came out of the chimney, and chickens clucked about, plucking bugs from the grass. The last thing I remember is a chicken coming up and pecking my toe. The toenail was so dirty that I thought it must have looked like a bug to the chicken. That made me laugh. That was the last thing I remember, until I woke up, and the woman said, "There you are." A long, terrible moan followed her voice, low and inhuman. I thought it was the voice of a demon, which made me believe that I was in hell. I sat up, screaming. Someone immediately pushed me back and said, "Calm down, you are safe." I tried to squirm away, but the speaker pinned me down. I hate being held down. I fought, but not well. I was too tired, too hungry, too weak. "If you will calm yourself," the speaker said, "I will feed you." I think those were the only words that could have broken through my panic. The speaker was a woman, small and dark, with a hard mouth and bright eyes that shone when she asked me, "Are you calm?" Before I could answer, that hideous moan came again. I whipped around and saw something that made me recoil in disgust and panic. The woman said, "That is Anna, my daughter. Don't be afraid. She is good and gentle." Anna did not look good or gentle. She was bony and ugly, with wide, glassy eyes. She rocked back and forth and grabbed at the air, making those awful moans. I had seen people like her in the church. The nuns took them in and cared for them, but the priest always said that they were abominations, punishment from God himself for great sins. The bony girl turned to me. She didn't seem to see me, but I felt she could see me. That made me angry. I asked, "What is wrong with her?" "Nothing," the woman said. I felt anger and fear and ugly feelings came out in uglier words. "She's an abomination, punishment for sins, hers or maybe yours." Hearing the priest's words in my voice made me even angrier. The woman told me she is no such thing. Her voice was still calm, but I heard the anger creeping in. I am very good at hearing anger. She said, "Anna is innocent and beautiful, more so than you or I will ever be." I had never seen anything less beautiful than Anna, but I know it was wrong to say any woman is anything but beautiful. So instead, I said, "She's weak. I would kill myself before I lived like her." The woman got onto her haunches so that we were eye to eye and said to me, "That makes you the weak one, boy. Now, you are a child. I wish to turn no child out of my home. But if you are to stay with me, you must treat my daughter kindly. I am going to teach you politeness and respect. And Anna is going to teach you about different kinds of strength." I wanted to argue, but I wanted to stay in the warm cottage with the chimney and the toe-eating chickens more. And besides, learning to be kind to a girl, even a cursed one, was better than the abbey. Over the following days, I learned much. I learned Anna could not speak, but she could hear. The woman thought she was probably blind, but she could not be sure. Anna liked to stroke the cat and hold chicken eggs. She was very gentle with the eggs and never broke a single one, but she did not like to hold the baby chickens. Anna also had fevers that gave her terrible shakes. Her eyes would roll up in her head and she would seize like one possessed. That made me surer than ever that she was how she was because of God's punishment. The woman took Anna outside every day to touch flowers and leaves, cats and chickens, rocks, and even the wooden fence. As she folded Anna's hands around each thing, she whispered its name until Anna responded as she knew how, which was, of course, her moan. One morning, I asked the woman, "Why do you do that?" she answered, so that Anna knows someone is always here to teach her. I watched them every day, wishing that Anna's mother would lead me around the garden and place my hands on flowers and leaves and cats and rocks while she whispered their names. I already knew their names, of course, but I wanted someone to teach me. I learned to help in the garden, and during the harvest I discovered a special talent. I could smell mold and blight before it appeared. I helped the woman purge ruined vegetables before they could infect the whole crop. Blight had been a problem for a long time, but because of me, it was no longer. We had much more food because of it. But no matter how much food we had, Anna would not eat. That was why she was so skinny. Skinnier even than I, when I couldn't eat the rabbit. The woman always worried that Anna would starve. But Anna did not care about starving. She only cared about moaning and spitting her food out and flinging her hands like a mad woman. One night, she hit her mother so hard that the plate clattered across the floor. The woman burst into tears. It was the first time I had ever seen her cry. I hate crying. I hate people who cry. I hate myself when I cry. But I didn't hate the woman for crying. Before my mother left me, she was sick. My baby sister made her sicker, and the second baby made her sickest. Too sick to feed my sister, or even herself. On those days, I fed both of them. It was not easy. Sick babies don't like to eat, and neither do sick mothers. But I managed. So I brought my own plate over to Anna and told her, "You must eat." And she moaned. I knew that was as much an answer I was ever going to get, so I spooned up the softest piece of carrot in my bowl, and I held it to her mouth. Without hesitation, she ate it, and then another, and another. For the first time in many years, she ate a whole meal. The woman cried again, but happily this time, and said, "Thank you, Christophe. I'm glad she has a brother like you." So, feeding Anna became my chore, just like sniffing the crops for blight and cutting firewood and cleaning the cottage before the patients came. The woman had many patients. She practiced medicine and midwifery. When patients came, she put Anna in a small, cozy room under the floor. She called it Anna's nest. It was not because she was ashamed of Anna, but because the patients, especially the ones that came to give birth, they frightened Anna. It did not help that some thought Anna was a bad omen, the stress of which made their birthing harder. So it became my chore to take Anna down to the nest and sit with her during the birth. Sometimes I fed her, sometimes I put her hands on her blankets and toys and told her their names, while women overhead wailed. One night, the woman asked me how a boy with such a fine nose and gentle hands had come to the woods in the first place. I could never tell her. Even the idea of admitting what I had done made me want to die. So, instead of confessing, I told her, "I am not a boy. I am a wolf. And wolves belong in the woods." "So they do," she said. And so I did. I was happy there, feeding Anna and culling blighted vegetables and washing blood from the bedding. Until the day a patient called her a witch. That made me frightened and very angry. The woman saw my anger and asked, "Why, Christophe? Why does this bother you?" I gave her the only answer I had, which was, "Witches don't go to heaven." She said, "Neither do wolves, which means you and I will be stuck together forever in hell, just as we are stuck together in this house. So, we must learn to get along." I admit, her argument impressed me. She sighed. "I am not a witch, but I might as well be. If you can't accept that, then you must leave." I did not leave. The number of my chores slowly grew. I became an expert plant hunter. One sniff from an herb in the cottage for reference, and I could find it in the forest. I loved smelling the plants and the flowers in our garden, and the rare plants and seeds in our kitchen. I remember she had carob from the south, which I had never smelled before. It seemed like magic to me. Orris was my favorite, which delighted her. So she showed me a blend of orris, carob, rose, and beeswax that she made herself. It was the most wonderful smell. I loved it so much. She made one just for me. That's how these memories smell to me. Orris, carob, wax, and roses. I wish it didn't make me hurt to remember them. In time, the witch trusted me with her patience. I didn't like that, because some of her patience made me want to use my teeth again. But at least the one thing was mild. Even if my one thing had not been mild, I think the witch would have scared it out of me. The witch was different in every way from my mother. She hurled insults, but only if they were funny. She never yelled at me. She never hit me. But she scared me if I deserved to be scared. She was not timid or quiet. She was not pretty. She was not a good Christian or an obedient woman. She respected nothing except the people who came to her for help. She did not back down from any fight for any reason, and she did not run from anything. I once watched her chase a bear away with nothing but a stick. She was so fierce, the bear tripped over his own feet and screamed. I did not know bears could scream until that day. And most unlike my mother, she did not care about men. She said it proudly and often. I did not like this, not one bit. I once asked her, "What about me?" She said, "You are not a man." I bristled at her. I am not a boy. She smiled and answered, "Of course not, Christophe. You are a wolf." I thought of my father, and I thought of my stepfather, who left a child to starve in the snow. I thought of what the priest who told me he could not help what he did to me because he is just a man, and men are fallen. Don't you know that, boy? We are all fallen. Those thoughts made me glad to be a wolf, not a man. Even so, I knew that using my teeth made me a bad wolf, and bad wolves might as well be men. I did not want to tell the witch what had been done to me. I did not want to tell her about my mother or my stepfather or the priest, but I would have told her all of it 1,000 times over if it meant I did not ever have to tell her how I liked to use my teeth. I did not tell her, but somehow she found out anyway. I was feeding Anna the day she found out. The witch stomped over and slapped Anna's bowl out of my hands. Anna moaned. For once, her mother paid her no attention. She hauled me up and slammed me against the wall. I had never seen anyone so angry. I have never seen a face that hated me so much. For the first time since I killed the little rabbit, I wept. She screamed at me. "You're no wolf. You're not even a man. You are a monster. An abomination." And then she let go of me. I was too scared to stand, so I just fell. And I hid my face in my hands, so she could not see my tears. She raged at me the whole night. She screamed herself into whispers until blood flecked her lips. Then finally, as dawn broke and Anna began to stir, the witch kneeled in front of me. I barely understood that it was her, so scared and small as I was. And when she touched my face, I did not understand that it was her at all. The deepest, truest part of me believed it was my mother, preparing to hit me. Or her husband, or the priest, or the nuns who beat me. It made me scream. Gently, she said, Christophe, I'm sorry I scared you, but we must talk. I don't know what will happen after talking. I cannot promise that you can stay, but I promise I will not scare you again." She pulled my hands from my face and rubbed them the way I had seen mothers in the church rub the hands of their crying children. No one had ever done that for me. No one had ever touched me, except to take from me or to hurt me. No one, except her. We talked, and to my great relief, it turned out she knew very little of what I had done. If she had known everything, she would have made me leave. I know this. But she only knew about the expensive girl with the rich father and the even richer husband. I spoke as little as I could, which led the witch to her own assumptions, each to my benefit. That is the way of mothers, I suppose. At the end of our talk, she said, "I love you too much to make you live. So we will burn in hell together. The wolf with too many teeth, and the witch who is his mother." That is why she let me stay. That is why I remained Anna's brother. That is why I continued to be a wolf and not a man. But there are new rules now. Since I was clearly no harmless boy, I had to do real work. I found this objectionable, because I had been doing real work, working her gardens until I had blisters, chopping wood until those blisters burst, cleaning until lye cracked my skin, and feeding bony little Anna until she spat her food back into my face. The witch explained, "Those are chores, Christophe, not work. Sit, and I will tell you about work. Do you know what they do to women who they decide are witches?" I did, all too well. I have already said that witches were a grave matter in those days. The things done to witches were even graver. She told me of these things. Then she said, "If they ever come for me, you are to kill me before they can. Do you understand?" "Yes," I said. "Do you promise?" she asked. "Yes," I repeated. It was a promise easy to make, because I knew it was a promise I would never have to keep. Our patients know how to keep their mouths shut also, but stories have a way of growing no matter what, and there were always rumors of a witch in the woods. Hunters sometimes came looking for her. For many years, the witch outsmarted and avoided them. But things had changed. After the famine especially, the hunters became even more ruthless. They blamed witches for all their misfortune. And they actually believed that killing the witches would reverse it somehow. The witch was afraid for herself, but she was much more afraid for Anna. That, I learned, was the real reason she hid Anna from her patients. Because if the hunters found her, they would take Anna's existence as proof of witchcraft, and they would kill her as brutally as they killed any witch. That was my work, to chase away the witch hunters and kill them, if need be. I was very good at it. So good that for the second time in my life I heard rumors of a monstrous wolf. But this wolf, he did not hunt little virgin girls. This wolf hunted men. I was an excellent hunter. I did not content myself with chasing my prey away. I killed them, especially when they ran. But that is something I have always done. Back when I lived in the Abbey, I still used my teeth on the girls who did not run. But I always let them go after. Always. Just as long as they did not run. But I did not let witch hunters go, even when they did not run. I should have. I know that now. Killing a few was good. It made people afraid. But killing so many, that is what ruined everything. When I was not hunting hunters, I was helping patients. The witch thought it prudent to spread stories of her strapping young son. Men are kinder to women who are protected by other men. I liked helping, almost as much as I liked hunting. My favorite way to help was to feed the patients, too weak to feed themselves, or to lie beside the feverish ones when the chills made them tremble. They always trembled less when I held them. Even the witch said I helped fevers go away. Maybe the fevers were scared of the big bad wolf too. I don't know. Although the witch was an excellent midwife, women and babies still died from time to time. Sometimes there were stillbirths, sometimes abortions and miscarriages. I did not like helping with those because they made me think of my sick mother and baby sister. Looking at them was hard. Most of the time, there was nothing, really. But even when there was something, it just looked like, a bit like the insides of a rabbit. But sometimes, those things that looked like insides had small fingers and eyes. I hated the eyes. When I think of the word abomination, I think of those eyes. I used to wonder if that was what my soul looked like. A slick, red ruin with tiny, broken fingers and knowing eyes. Through it all, the witch hunters continued to come. So did the stories of this man-eating wolf. The patients spoke in fear, even when the witch pointed out that this wolf had never killed a woman. But the patients only said, that is because the wolf is a witch's familiar. She forces him to kill men. These rumors, they made me smile. Not a good smile. A savage one. Wolves are, after all, savage. Many men had died by then. It was 9, I think. So, a bounty was put on the wolf's head. I was not worried. None of the patients knew the witch as such, and none knew her well-mannered son with the gentle hands for a wolf. Even if they had known, I would not have been afraid, because I knew in my heart that the witch would protect me. But the bounty brought scores of new wolf hunters to join the witch hunters. And then one night, one man hunting both got closer than anyone ever had. I got rid of him, but carelessly. I thought that he was alone, but I was wrong, and I did not have time to dispose of his body before his brothers found him. I hid myself, and I watched them. They had weapons. The sight frightened me badly, but not as badly as when they said, "The wolf belongs to the witch in the cottage. Catch it before it returns to her." I ran as I have never run. When I burst into her cottage, screaming the alarm, screams were hurled right back at me, for the witch was attending an emergency birth, and it was going very wrong. The mother was whiter than white, so white she was yellow, and the baby was not moving. "They're coming," I screamed. "The hunters are coming for us." The witch told me kindly, "That is your work, Christophe." "But there are too many," I said, and she looked at me with such gentleness and said, "That is all right. I know you did your best. Now, let me do my best." She put the baby in my arms and tended to the mother. The baby was already blue. I looked at her and thought of my sister. I wondered if she was still alive. I wondered if the new baby was also still alive, or if he was also dead, like the one in my arms. I did not feel sadness at these thoughts, but tears burned my eyes anyway. The witch cursed in despair, and then she hurried over and opened the trapdoor to Anna's nest and said, "Be quiet, Anna. You must be quiet as the cat hunting mice in the night. You must be quiet until Christophe comes to fetch you." Anna did not even moan. Then the witch said, "Christophe." I couldn't look at her. I couldn't look away from the baby. And so she pried it away from me, gently, and placed it on its mother. Then she took my face in her hands. "Christophe, you know what they do to witches. Don't let them do it to me. Remember your promise. You can tell them you caught me. You caught me in the act of killing this mother and her child. And you killed me for my witchcraft. Tell them that you chased off the familiar. Then you and Anna." I said, "No, no, no." And she began to sob. "You promised? I need you to take care of Anna. You must. Please, Christophe, this is the only way." And then the hunters smashed their way in. They smashed my knee next, but that didn't stop me from fighting. It took 3 of them to hold me down. The others turned their attention to the witch. I knew what they were going to do. It would be horrific, inhumane, cruelty beyond cruelty. I knew it would be like all the times I've used my teeth. And as I watched them bear down on her, I thought, they want to do what I have done. They are what I am. And as they stood there laughing and preparing to destroy her, the witch gave me a look. No, not a look. Another. A silent, desperate command. Seeing that look on her face gave me a final charge of strength, and so I launched myself from my captor's grip and landed on the floor beside her. Then I leaned in and I tore my mother's throat out with my teeth. I remember cradling her, screaming in rage and hate and grief, and I remember the pain in my heart, heavy and rotten and burning. I remember how she smiled at me. Her smile did not help. I held her, and as I held her, I understood that every time I had used my teeth, it had been on a woman just like her, a woman that the world did not care about. I was breaking, and my thoughts were breaking too, as I sat there, weeping and holding her with her blood flowing through my fingers. A hunter ran at me. I felt a knife, cold and hard, in my chest, and I fell forward. I managed, just barely, to keep a grip on the witch's hand. The world faded. And then it exploded again into the purest, cleanest light. I stood within a soft, golden sun under a gate of stars that opened to something impossibly beautiful. Heaven itself. Beside me, the witch, who was my mother, radiant and whole, was ascending with her hand in mine. I wept for joy because I believed we were ascending together, the wolf with too many teeth and the witch who was his mother, until her hand slipped from mine. She kept ascending, but I stayed trapped on the ground. I reached for her desperately. I screamed for her, my fingers tangled in her dress, and I tore away the hem, which sparkled like a starry sky as it drifted down upon my face. When it landed across my screaming mouth, I heard the witch's voice, gentle and sad. She said, "Wolves with teeth cannot go to heaven." The golden light went out. I was back in the filthy, blood-soaked cottage, gasping wetly through deflating lungs. Something cold and sharp and heavy. Another knife. It went through me once, twice, 3 times. Then I felt hands on me, dragging me away. And then I fell asleep. I awoke alone in the darkness, with the scent of blood and rot sharp in my nose. I crawled along the floor, searching for my mother, and I found her. Her mangled body in the corner, broken and unrecognizable. I curled up beside her, and I slept again. When morning came, she was still broken and dead, the same as the night before. But as I hold my hands up to the sunlight, I see that I was not myself. Or perhaps I was finally, truly myself. Wolfish and bony and feral, inhuman, like my outsides had finally been cursed to match my insides. I looked like the abomination I had always been in my heart. The monstrous wolf. Except for my mouth. You see, where a wolf's fangs should be, there was nothing. Nothing at all. The big, bad wolf had no teeth. I laughed until I wept. And then I screamed. Because, for the second time, my mother had left me behind. But when I heard Anna moaning in her nest, I remembered I was not the only one who was left behind. Even though I looked like a monster, Anna took my hand. I fed her. Then I buried our mother and cleaned the cottage and checked on the chickens. As I worked, crying but resolute, I felt myself change. It was slow, but unmistakable. I was growing smaller again. Less wolfish. Less monstrous. I still had no teeth, but otherwise, I looked like myself. I did not know if that made me glad or angry. I didn't have time to wonder, because I had Anna to care for. I fed her and walked her out each day. I put her hands on the flowers and the eggs and the cat and told her their names. I sewed her clothes and sang her songs. I tucked her into bed and held her when the fevers made her shudder and throw up. I did all of this. Every day. I did all of it and more. I promised I would take care of her until I died. But she died first. The fever came. No matter what I did, no matter what I gave her, no matter how I held her, it would not leave. Not until she died in my arms and grew cold while I screamed. I remember that. I thought that I would die with her, that I could go to heaven with her and our mother. Instead, my teeth grew back, and with my teeth grew my desire to use them. I tried to fight it, but I am not strong. I have never been strong. My teeth were not the only parts of me that grew. I grew tall, then very tall. I grew strong, then very strong. I did not grow more pretty. The pretty fell away, like my teeth. But it did not grow back. I am glad. I am glad to be strong and not pretty. When you are pretty, people do things to you. When you're strong, you do things to other people. When you are very strong, you don't have to wait for them to let you. Don't look at me like that. Not like that. Not you.
Christophe, please don't hurt me.
Don't hurt you. Don't hurt you.
Christophe, get away from her.
Why? What do you think I'm going to do, huh? Do you think I'm going to hurt her? Because you're looking at me like I'm going to hurt her. You want me to hurt her.
Charlie, it's okay. Everything's okay. We're okay. Right, Christophe? Everything's okay.
Rachele, come with me now.
Don't run from me.
Rachele.
I'm not running from you.
You want to.
She doesn't want to run from you. She doesn't want to leave at all. Right, Rachele? Right. She needs to go write up your report or she'll get in trouble. Rachele, now, please, before he...
Before I what?
Rachele, now.
That's right. Hide from the big bad wolf. Put him in his cage.
God, Charlie, what was that?
He thought you were judging him.
Oh, I can't imagine why I'd do that.
That's right, you little coward. Hide behind the wall.
I'm sorry, Rachele. I really am. I didn't think...
What didn't you think, Charlie? That he'd try to maul me?
Oh, that's all I am to you, isn't it? A big bad wolf who will maul you if you look at me sideways.
He didn't try to maul you.
It sure looked like it.
You couldn't deal with the big bad wolf.
Listen, Christophe only acts out like that when he feels that people are judging him. It's positive, in a way. It means he cares what you think about him, and that's a huge breakthrough.
Oh, well, thank God for breakthroughs.
No, really. Rachele, I know you have no idea, because you have no frame of reference, but you handled him marvelously. In that interview, that's exactly the information we needed you to get from him. Exactly. You were so successful with him that I'm already excited about his next interview with you.
There won't be a next time. He wanted to hurt me.
You're scared of me. I'll give you something to be scared of.
No, he wanted to intimidate you because you made him feel vulnerable.
I made him... How many women has he killed?
That's a conversation you can have with him after he's calmed down and...
How many?
That really isn't for me to...
How could you send me in there with him? You know what he's done. You know how he treats me. What he wants to...
If you think I'm scary now, give me a real reason to rip out your...
I am T-Class Agent Rachele Bean. I am currently pending my second disciplinary review for insubordination. Per established protocol, this is my explanation and justification that I wish to provide to the review board. At the conclusion of my interview with T-Class Agent Wolf, he lost control of his emotions and lashed out at me. At least that's what Dr. Wingaryde says. I say Agent Wolf tried to hurt me. Dr. Wingaryde successfully separated us and locked Agent Wolf alone in the interview room, and then led me away. I will admit that after the information Agent Wolf disclosed to me during his interview, I was in shock, as well as highly upset that no one thought to warn me of Agent Wolf's proclivities prior to introducing us. Given his history of harassment towards me, as well as the significant safety concerns presented in both his file and his interview, I am deeply disturbed that anyone thought it appropriate to introduce us at all. I will also admit that I took my emotions out on Dr. Wingaryde, and that my behavior required the intervention of Commander Raphael Wingaryde, with whom I have a meeting in 2 hours specifically to address this incident. It's my hope that the appropriate staff will listen to this recording prior to that meeting. I hope Commander Wingaryde himself listens, since he's one of the only people Christophe respects. I assume he therefore has enough authority to make Christophe leave me alone. At least I hope he does. And I don't know what he's going to say to me during our meeting. I'm not even sure I want to know. I don't even know what I'm going to say during our meeting. In fact, the only thing I know is that for the first time since I got here, I just want to get the hell out.